Welcome to another edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, the series that takes a critical look at Scripture, pointing out its numerous errors, contradictions, and fallacies. This program teaches a kind of Sunday school in reverse by giving you the biblical information that you should have heard but didn't. With millions of Americans hearing a totally one-sided presentation of the Bible, balance is greatly needed. Only when people are given both sides of an issue can a truly objective analysis be possible. And here to provide the alternative perspective is the editor of Biblical Errancy Newsletter, Mr. Dennis McKenzie.
Welcome to the 63rd edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary. We're pleased you've joined us. This is the fourth and last in our series of commentaries on biblical prophecies. If you'll recall, in our prior program, we discussed 17 prophecies that had never been fulfilled. We can now continue our listing. 18th. Joel 2:27-28 says, quote, "My people shall never be ashamed, and it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions." Unquote. Many Christians say this was fulfilled on the day of Pentecost and subsequently. But God did not by any means pour out His Spirit upon all flesh. Nor are the Jews so hardened as never to have been ashamed. 19th. Zechariah 14:8 says, quote, "On that day living waters shall flow out from Jerusalem, half of them to the eastern sea, and half of them to the western sea. It shall continue in summer and winter." Unquote. Not only have no waters ever flowed in any direction from Jerusalem to a sea, but one can't help but wonder what seas he's talking about. 20th. 2 Samuel 7:10 says, quote, "I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in their own place and be disturbed no more. And violent men shall afflict them no more, as formerly." Unquote. Jews are still scattered over the world, and violent men still disturb and afflict them in every land, especially in modern Israel. 21st. Isaiah 65:17 and 25 say, quote, "I," this is God speaking, "create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like a bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat." Unquote. When have the wolf and the lamb fed together? When has the lion eaten straw like the bullock? When has the serpent eaten dust? These extravagant predictions regarding peace and tranquility are usually interpreted in whatever way is deemed most expedient. 22nd. In the modern language version, Ezekiel 12:23 says, quote, "For the days are drawing near, and the fulfillment of every vision will soon come to pass." Unquote. Yet after more than 2,000 years, the wait continues. 23rd. Another one of Isaiah's extravagant claims is found in verse 60:12, which says, quote, "For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee," that is the Hebrews, "shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted." Unquote. Nations that have never been subjugated by the Jews are flourishing. If this poetical expression of the Jews' national hopes is perverted by Christians into a reference to Christ and His church, then it must be pointed out that nations have advanced and are advancing without Christ. 24th. Jeremiah 8:17 says, I will send serpents and cockatrices among you, and they shall bite you, saith the Lord. Unquote. Since cockatrices are mythical creatures, this prophecy could never be fulfilled. 25th and lastly, in Luke 1:32-33, an angel said God would give Jesus the throne of his ancestor David, and he, Jesus, would reign over the house of Jacob forever. Since Jesus has never received the throne of David or reigned over the house of Jacob, who actually rejected him, expediency dictates that this prophecy be interpreted in a spiritual or figurative sense. Even then, however, it remains unfulfilled because the Jews still reject the gospel. Jesus doesn't reign over them except in the contrived sense of him reigning over everything, since he's allegedly God. In summary then, the obvious conclusion is that many biblical prophecies have never been fulfilled, and those who allege otherwise are whistling in the dark. In far too many cases, the predictive reliability of the Bible ranges from poor to pitiful, from paltry to pathetic. Moving on, any discussion of prophetic fallacies within the Bible simply wouldn't be complete without noting the large number of errors made by the one being who's supposed to be perfection personified. The one person who is allegedly more truthful, more moral, more reliable, more accurate than all others, oddly enough, is precisely the one who made the largest number of inaccurate prophecies. I'm referring to no less a figure than Jesus Christ himself, our alleged Redeemer, the very man who has a prophetic record that can only be described as dismal. Because most of his mistakes were revealed in our 24th program, we will only relate those that should be memorized by all objective analyzers of Christianity. Some of the most prominent examples are the following. First, in John 13:38, Jesus said to Peter, quote, "The cock shall not crow till thou," that is, Peter, have denied me thrice, which is 3 times, unquote. Yet one need only read Mark 14:66-68 to see that the cock actually crowed after the first denial, not after the third. Second, in Matthew 12:40, Jesus said, quote, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth," unquote. In other words, just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, Jesus was to be buried 3 days and 3 nights. But Jesus was killed and buried sometime on a Friday afternoon and raised sometime on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning. You don't need to be a math major to see that from Friday afternoon to Saturday night or Sunday morning is not 3 days and 3 nights. To be technical, it's barely a day and a half. Third, in Mark 8:31, Jesus said, quote, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be killed, and after 3 days rise again." Note carefully. It says after 3 days he would rise again. Jesus died and was buried on a Friday afternoon, or at least a Friday evening, and rose sometime during Saturday night or Sunday morning. After 3 days means that he should actually have arisen after 3 full days had passed. And that would have delayed the resurrection until Monday afternoon at the earliest.